afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today we'll be discussing a major issue that has been a big part of America, and it has been in headlines recently too, so this is very relevant to today. Now, we all know that illegal immigration has been a major issue in America, and this has been a long-standing issue, and it traces way back in history. But as of right now, simply, we just need to understand that millions of immigrants have entered into the United States in order to find better jobs and try to get a better life. But the fact is, however, that while it's good to provide opportunities to people, the fact is that by entering into America and trying to find jobs, they're often willing to work for low wages. And this means that this hurts the American people because it is detrimental to the economy and to the government as a whole as well. Because, having a bunch of citizens or residents that are supposed to be here and are unaccounted for can obviously put a damper on things. And as a result, we also need to take into account that they use resources that they do not pay for. For example, like Medicaid or public education, which are paid by taxpayers. And if they aren't accounted for, then simply that means that us as a taxpayer has to contribute the cost instead. As a result, we need to care about this issue simply because it affects all of us in every way. People will be deported. But seriously, what do I know? I'm just a reporter. Instead, you guys would probably be more interested to listen to our experts here, Republican Senator Joe from Texas, and Republican or Democrat Senator Stephanie from New York.
In the beginning, this was the New World. It was founded on the land of opportunity. Essentially, this has transitioned to one of the nicknames, the melting pot for America. Now, research has proven that legal immigration is good economically and socially. However, illegal immigration often detracts from the government, it detracts from the economy, and it detracts socially because it develops a lack of trust between communities.
As President Obama and the Obama administration has announced, there is a new executive action in place called the Immigration Accountability Executive Action. And with that, it's just trying to address the problem that is already created. I do agree with my colleague that our history is based upon allowing immigrants to come here. We are a nation founded upon that culture. And we should not be trying to kick out or penalize every immigrant that tries to enter through our borders. However, we do have to recognize that we do have a problem. From 1990 until now, we went from 3.5 million immigrants to 11 million. That number has now, for the first time in years, subsided under the Obama administration.
How well or how poorly do you think our border security is right now, and how well is our current system functioning?
Well, border security is actually very poor right now. You mentioned that illegal immigration has been going down very much. However, it is estimated that 500,000 illegal immigrants continue to flow into the country each year. In addition, the drug war that was mentioned earlier in today's kind of research and discussions, the drug war has expanded a massive war zone between Texas and Arizona and Mexico. What this means is essentially that cartels have been sending drugs through the border, and in fact 80% of drugs go through key enforced outposts of the border security control. Basically, it's not going through the forested area that no one's around. It's going through the points that we're supposed to be protecting. In addition, thousands of children unaccompanied by adults have been flowing through because of these drug wars from places like Honduras, Guatemala.
We do recognize that it is an issue, especially the case you're saying with children entering into the country unaccompanied. That is a specific component of this piece of legislation, or not this piece of legislation, it's the order that Obama is trying to highlight. We are seeing the numbers taper off for the first time in decades. And this is because we are allotting more resources to the Department of Homeland Security for them to do their jobs. We have more patrols, more troops on the zones in the areas that you highlighted are our problem areas, our southwest border with Mexico.
As a whole.
These illegal immigrants aren't so much as a threat as they drain the economy and the government as well. Basically, when an illegal immigrant is hired, they work for much lower wages than a regular American citizen because the dollar is worth more in their countries. And these dollars are mostly being sent back to their families. That's why they're seeking work in America. This phenomenon is known as wage depreciation. What this means is, combined with a high unemployment rate, employers are able to basically give out lower wages because they know someone else will be able to take the job. This is basically an internal version of outsourcing, where companies can go to overseas for less wages. At the same time, these illegal immigrants are not paying taxes. So basically, they're taking the jobs that Americans could have, and at the same time, they're not paying taxes to help contribute. It's like having your cake and eating it too.
Well, I want to highlight that the executive action is called the Immigration Accountability Executive Action, and it's called that because we want to make these immigrants that came here illegally, broke our laws, accountable for their actions. But we also recognize that a lot of them have families here now, and that they are contributing members of society. They maintain residences. But in order for them to be more allocated into our own society, they need to not have to fear deportation at every hour of the day. So in order to do that, the executive action is going to streamline legalization for them, for legal access, like legal entrance into the country, but also too for those that are already here, they're going to streamline the process so that they can go through background checks, be allocated into our system, and then start paying their fair share of the taxes in these jobs that they already might have illegally.
How are they being held accountable, or is that just a political term to make it look like they're being held accountable?
They're being held accountable because they also have to pay back taxes for the amount of time that they have been in the U.S. Under the Act, it's a minimum of 5 years. But a lot of these immigrants have been here for 10, 15. They've been there in this country for a very long time.
They're not going to be covered through Medicare until they're older. They're going to be covered through Medicaid because most of them are very poor. There has been no addition into the Affordable Health Care Act for these immigrants. No one's going to be able to pay for their bills except for the government themselves. In addition, through Social Security and Medicare, once they do get to that age, the wages that they have are mostly low income. However, when they get to that point, as everyone knows, medical bills are very expensive. So long term, we're going to have severe problems because they're going to be taking out more than they put in. Short term, they're going to be benefiting the baby boomers. However, it's just putting off more and more and more the same problems each year.
Which is why, which is why the overall solution from our entire group was that this is not a long-term fix. We need a comprehensive bill put through by both parties of Congress in order to even remotely address this huge issue.